Welcome, fight fans. Holy smokes, what a weekend of boxing. Welcome to the Sweet Science 365. I'm your host, Jeff Boltz, and we're going to get into what an amazing weekend of boxing. Three main events that just absolutely, man, they held up to what everybody said they were going to be, man. Just amazing. The Lopez-Taylor fight, the dominance that Lopez established over Taylor and that 140 division. We're going to talk about that probably first. We're going to also talk about the Dermanchenko versus Munguia fight. Munguia finally got tested. And then we're going to talk about Sonny Edwards and his fight. And just, man, the possibilities of seeing him versus Bam Rodriguez, which I would love to see that matchup between those two guys. And welcome. Like I said, this is episode 7 of the Sweet Science. Big weekend for boxing. Let's get started. Jump right in. Taylor versus Lopez. Yeah, my big prediction had Taylor knocking Lopez out. That's not what we saw. We saw a dominant performance from Lopez, who just absolutely he put the whole 140 division on notice. He let everybody out there know they can get it. They can get it. They can come to Lopez. They can get it. Even though earlier we did see on Max Kellerman Lopez claiming that he's going to retire. I don't think that's the situation, to be honest with you. He's 25. He's going through some things with the mother of his child. So, yeah, he's probably just trying to pull some okey doke in the court situation to make it seem like he doesn't have any income, whatever. I don't think it's going to work the way he thinks. But the guy's 25. He's absolutely at the top of his game. He's got a guy, Devin Haney, knocking on his door. Big blockbuster fight possibility for that. And, even if he fought Prograis, another big blockbuster fight, you could put him against any of the big guys in that 140, Ramirez, any of those guys, and he's going to be the A side for sure. I was so impressed with how he handled that fight. Going in, nobody knew where he was mentally. He was all over the place in interviews. He was here, he was just talking crazy, and people didn't know how to take that. They thought, well, he's going to go in like Kambosa, and he's just going to go out there swinging. He didn't, man. He came out and he boxed. They called him Gordo. That's what the Haney team called him, Gordo. That's what they knew him as. I don't know much about that. They just say that's the boxer in him. And he let Taylor come out in the first, second, third round. He looked all right. Taylor looked like he was controlling the fight. He had that jab going. He had the distance going. He looked like the bigger fighter. And Teo just kind of, after I think it was the first, second round, his dad had said something to him, and Taylor said, I got him. So he had figured something out early. And then when he got to fourth and fifth round, it looked like Taylor kind of started losing steam to me. Now, that could be inactivity on his part. It's been almost 2 years since he's been out of the ring, and that's where it comes into play, man. Lopez has fought 3 times this year. Taylor has fought once in 2 years, and that inactivity can give you those wobbly legs. In an interview afterwards, Taylor was talking about he just started to lose his legs after the fourth or fifth round, and it was obvious. He wasn't moving the same. He was getting back down. He was getting big punch situations backed into the corner. Wasn't able to do much on his part. Lopez's defense was nice, and then you saw Lopez start to do that little wiggle, start to get into a groove like he does. And when he does that, man, when he finds himself as a boxer, I said it on the last episode that his ability as a boxer is unreal, man. He's definitely one of the best boxers in the game right now. One of the top fighters when he's out there fighting the way that everybody knows Lopez can fight, the type of fighter that he can be. I think my question was more of his mental going into this. He was having a few issues with his father. He was having some issues in his family, his family life, all that with his ex-girlfriend, wife. I don't know. I think it was his wife. And he's going through all that right now. So that's a lot for a young guy at 25 to be dealing with, and then be able to handle that and go into a big fight like this and still have enough self-awareness and self-control to know what he needed to do in that fight. So props to Lopez, man. Just absolutely amazing what he did out there. He put a clinic on Josh Taylor, and it makes you wonder, should Taylor just go up to 147? Now he's claiming that that's the issue. He needs to be at a higher weight, but he would take a rematch versus Lopez, which I don't think there's going to be a rematch. Too many opportunities for Lopez. Prograis was on Fight Hype earlier in the day, today or yesterday, one of the days, not sure when they did that interview with him, but he was talking about how he'd love to fight Teo, and I'm sure he would. Everybody wants to fight Teo. My question is his contract up with Top Rank? I thought it was a 3-fight deal. I've also heard that that he still has a fight left on that contract. So if he does, then he's stuck with Top Rank, and then Devin Haney has to make a choice. Because if Devin Haney's going to move up to 140, there's only one guy, in my opinion, that you want to fight right now, and that is Lopez. There's nobody else you'd want to fight at 140, I think. I mean, yeah, he can make a big fight with Prograis if he goes over to Matchroom. He can make a fight with Ryan Garcia. But those fights are not going to be the Teo fight. And I think that's the fight everybody would want to see and everybody would want to look forward to. I also want to hit on, I heard people early in the week, because this has been an incredible year for boxing. Big fights happening. And I mean, man, it's boxing has put itself on the map. And if you go to the 126, 128 division, and you go all the way up to the 147 division, it is filled with talent that can carry the sport for the next 4 years if these guys fight each other. And we're seeing it happen in a way versus Fulton coming up. You got Navarrete versus Valdez. They're going to fight. You have an announcement earlier in this week. What was I seeing? That Benavidez is going to fight David Morale. That's what I've been hearing also. So you got that fight coming up. And everybody is giving Davis and Garcia the credit for all these other big fights happening. And I want to take a moment to actually thank the Team Benavidez and Team Plant for starting this shit in 2022 when they both came out and decided they would fight each other in February or March of 2023 when they did fight. I can't remember. But those two guys, in my opinion, they started that rolling pin of other guys saying that, yeah, we're going to fight each other. We're going to fight the best. I want to fight the best. So, you know, I want to give those two guys credit. No diss to Ryan Garcia, our tank. They both, that fight definitely brought a lot more attention to the sport probably than the Benavidez and Plant fight did, but for true boxing fans, the Plant and Benavidez fight was the one that kind of got this year steamrolling to where it is right now, and the big fights that we are seeing and that we have coming up. As a boxing fan, man, I'm elated. I've got a whole summer filled of just amazing boxing. I got next week some good boxing. But let's also not forget, we watched the Jaime Munguia versus Dermanchenko fight this weekend, and wow. Number one, everybody said Munguia has not been tested. I'd have to say after this fight, he was tested. The minute the bell rang in the first round, those guys went at it, man. They started going big hit after big hit, and they did it for 12 rounds. Big hit after big hit after big hit. And just, man, it was an all-out war. It's what you want to see in boxing. And Dermanchenko, that guy is never going to get the decision. And it sucks because some of the scorecards are way off, man. That fight was possibly a draw. And it could have either went to Munguia, it could have went to Dermanchenko. They both came out. They both just, oh my goodness. I think Munguia got a knockdown in the 12th round. When he came out, I think he eventually got a knockdown on Dermanchenko in the 12th round, which I think helped give him that fight. That might have given him that little edge that he needed to pull that fight out. But he was taking big punch after big punch. And 4th or 5th round, the guy was dazed. You could see it in his eyes. He was dazed. He was hurt. He was taking big punch. He couldn't keep taking those punches, but he did. He did. His grandma was out there watching that fight. So he's like, I can't get beat in front of grandma. And but I know grandma was like, oh, I don't know if I ever want to go to a fight again. That was scary. I'm playing. But anyways, just absolutely amazing watching those two guys just beat the crap out of each other, man. Dermanchenko, hats off, 38 years old, man. He went out there against, I think Jaime's 26, 27, 28, something like that. And you fought your ass off, man. You could have easily gotten a draw or been awarded that fight. And just hats off to you. Hats off to Munguia. You've now been tested. You've taken those big punches from one of the biggest punchers that, I've seen, that he gives everybody fits. And you took that fight. You came out on top. And now you can go challenge yourself against the top out there. And I would have a little bit more faith that it would be a better fight than what I might have predicted in the past. Hats off to Jaime for a tough win. Pulling it out, staying in there. I mean, dude got nailed. When I say nailed, go watch that fight. If you haven't watched the fight, go find highlights and look at the big punch after big punch that Jaime Munguia took. I mean, it was haymaker after haymaker. And he was just taking a man, and he didn't go down one time, dude. Hats off to Jaime, man. Your chin is strong, brother. Your chin is strong for sure. Great fight between those guys. That gave me a great night, and I was watching that, and it pretty much, it started good enough to where I could watch majority of that fight before the Lopez and Taylor fight came on. So hats off to both of those platforms for trying not to have those two compete against each other, and they kind of did an overlapping timetable. It seemed like to me, because ESPN took their time putting on their main event, and it was almost like they knew the Munguia-Dermanchenko fight, even though we all know that people were going to tune in for the Taylor-Lopez fight. But as a true boxing fan, I wanted to see both of those fights, man. I wanted to watch them both, and I was happy to see that they didn't overlap with each other, and that they were, I was able to watch the majority of the Munguia fight. I watched the whole Munguia fight, but, it got to the point where I was watching the first few rounds of the Lopez-Taylor fight before that fight was over, because it started while that fight was still going on. But it was great to be able to see those guys try to stagnate those times. That's what boxing needs to do, man. When you got some big fights, stagnate the time so that it's not overlapping with other big fights, and it's not hurting you guys. You give people an opportunity, boxing fans, to see both of those fights, which was awesome to see. I think I talk about Sonny Edwards, his fight. I don't know if I talked about him and a possibility of him and Bam Rodriguez fighting each other, and goodness gracious, would that be a fight. I'm going to favor Bam. I really am. But watching Sonny Edwards, Sonny loves the fight in the clinch. He loves that pressure. He lands nice shots, man. He lands nice little uppercuts when he's inside. He gets to that body when he's inside. He's got a nice little punch when he's inside, man, and I think he loves that pressure. He loves being pressured by guys, and he loves getting into that thick of it, and battling it out. He's a tough fight for Bam. Bam's last fight was tough, but this fight with Edwards would be a hell of a fight, another blockbuster fight. I would love to see that scheduled before the summer's over, around September, maybe, towards the end of September, sometime around there. See those two guys fight each other. But great weekend overall for me, man. There's more I'd like to get into. Like I said, there was some other news announced this week about the Benavidez-David Morrell fight, which I'm super hyped about that. And I have to say, Benavidez, man, you guys are ballsy. You're letting everybody know that you're going to fight whoever out there. You're not afraid of anybody. And I love that, man. The Team Benavidez, you guys are awesome for taking this Morrell fight. This is a dangerous, dangerous fight for anybody to take. And you're like, hey, if I can't get Canelo, then give me the next best, which was David Morrell. Absolutely very ballsy by your team. Very dangerous fight. But you guys, I think that's two monsters one ring, two monsters, one ring, man, and it's going to go down. And I think somebody's getting knocked out in that fight. Somebody is getting knocked out. Who it is, I don't know. Or maybe they both got some good chins and nobody, and we just watched two guys beat the crap out of each other in the middle of the ring. I think that's the type of fight that could be a big-time headbanger fight, man. Just two guys, just heavy punchers, guys that go after it. They're not, they won't back off. They'll throw those punches, and they're not afraid to throw big punches. So hats off to those guys taking that fight. But, man, there was the undercards on all three of these fights were pretty good. Actually, Shane Mosley Jr. got a big win this week against Demetrius Ballard. Man, nice little win for Shane Mosley Jr. Showed some power. Showed he had a little bit of power in him and took out Ballard. I want to say late rounds. I can't remember the round he took him out, but late rounds. And definitely a shout out to Shane Mosley Jr. Nice win. Got himself a belt, and now he can get back into contention, get his name back out there. I like to see young guys like that, especially from, offsprings like the Mosleys going out there and getting big fights done. Of course, Xander. Everybody watch Zayas Xander. I love Zayas Xander. He's a Puerto Rican kid that is just amazing. And he went out and he faced a veteran fighter, and he knocked him down early in the first round, but the fight went all 10. I think it was 10 rounds. Zayas showed a lot of improvement that I've seen with his head movement. Number one was better than it's been. His footwork looked immaculate, man. He was moving around that ring. His feet were in great position, and he was moving that head. Every time he'd plant those feet, he'd move that head, and just great to see the improvement that he's made. I see a lot of young, good fighters out there, and I don't see him improving fight to fight. Like, I'll take a guy like Nico Ali Walsh. Nico Ali, as you might know him as. I haven't seen much improvement from him going into the fights that he's doing. He's fighting a lot, and maybe it's not giving him time to adjust, time to make those improvements that he needs. Maybe he needs to stop, take some time off, go in the gym, and work on making adjustments like he needs to make in the middle of the fight that he seems to fail to be making. But he's not making progress to me from when I've seen it. And he is from fight one to now, of course. But I mean, as far as the development of him, I'm not seeing him develop into a guy that I'm like, yeah, he's a future champion. He's a guy that you got to watch out for in this sport down the road. I don't see that in Nico Ali Walsh. Zayas Xander? Yeah, Zayas? Yeah, he's definitely a guy that is the next up in this sport. He is impressive. And like I said, his improvement, he seems to be a really good learner. Watched his footwork this week. Definitely better than what it's been. He wasn't keeping his head in the middle. He was moving it every time he planted his feet, throw a punch. He was moving that head. That's what I want to see in a young, good fighter like that, man. Improvement every single fight. And was so improved with his boxing skills, his ability, and his IQ in the ring, man. When he knew that he was fighting a guy that he possibly wasn't going to be able to knock out, he went into finding other ways to beat the guy, going to the body, going to the head, and just staying active and moved, and made it a nightmare for that guy to even have a chance in that fight. So was impressed with Zayas. It was just an amazing fight for him, Xander. And man, pretty much that's what I wanted to get into. Short episode this week. I'll probably do another episode later in the week depending on what news might come out. But the fights this week definitely needed a shout out on what I saw. I know you guys saw the same thing, man. Tell me what you guys thought about those fights. Who you favor, who you want to see Teo fight next. I think it's got to be Devin Haney, man. You've got to fight Devin Haney. That fight, if Devin moves to 140, that's a huge fight that can. I don't think it should happen this year, because Lopez has already fought 3 times this year, and he's going through some legal issues with the mother of his child, so I think he should take some mental time off to get himself prepared for whatever he's going with through that, and get his head straight so that when he comes into that Devin Haney fight, he's the Lopez we've seen in the Taylor fight. That's the Lopez we want to see. Makes him dangerous for anybody, and Devin Haney is an incredible boxer. But what I also forget to hit on was Lopez's power. he hurt Josh Taylor a lot in that fight, and he hurt him a lot, especially in that 12th. He threw 24 power punches in the 12th that just landed and hurt Josh Taylor immensely. And that's where people, I think, really are now looking at Lopez in a different light. Like, oh, well, wow, look at that power. Whoa, we knew he had some power. We weren't for sure how much it transferred up to the next level at 140 because he didn't look like he had hurt Sandor Martin in that fight, and he didn't seem, with the Comey fight, we didn't really get to establish, hey, how's that power doing? He definitely established that against Josh Taylor, that he has that power, he has that footwork, he has that movement, man. And when this kid is on, when he's feeling himself, I don't know if anybody can beat him. And that's the truth, man. We watched this kid go in against Lomachenko, one of the best out there, and put a clinic on that guy. And then he goes out there against a unified champion in Josh Taylor, who relinquished his titles. So he was still a unified champion. And he went out there and he absolutely made him look ordinary. Lopez, you are on the scene. You are the takeover. You've been telling everybody, the takeover. So guys, get ready for the takeover at 140. And I expect Devin Haney to move up there. And let's get this fight done between those two. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Sweet Science 365. This is your host, Jeff Bolts, episode 7, baby. This was a hell of a fight week. If you haven't seen them, go back and check those fights out, man. They're there. They're awesome. Check out the highlights. You got to see them, man. Great week for boxing. I'll catch up with you later in the week if we can get some big news going, man. Thank you guys. Have a great day.